Action. Cameras. Oh man. Okay, we are in Perek Chaf Aleph, and I just want to I want to ask a little bit of a kasha, and I want to give a hesber, which is a chiddush in the whole sugya. We said v'zois teres adam. This is the way it works with man. Shebe'es iskoi b'Torah lishma. That when a person learns Torah lishma, does anybody else have a book here? So if you look, shebe'es iskoi b'Torah lishma. This is important. Comma. Have a comma there? Chaf Aleph. Shebe'es iskoi b'Torah lishma. That when a person learns Torah lishma, which is lishmar l'kayim k'chol ha'kasuba, to be shomer and makayim everything it says in the Torah, mitayir is gufay mirosh v'yad ragla. So the Torah itself is mitayir his guf from rosh ad ragel. And so what he's saying here in Perek Chaf Aleph is that the Torah works like a mikveh, and then he brings rayas that it works even better than a mikveh. And we explained that in Taras Hamayim there's three types. There's a mikveh, there's a ma'ayon, there's mechatos. There's different levels of Torah. Torah works like all of them. And the pshat is when a person learns Torah lishma, so it's not just something you're doing with your head, it's not just something you're doing with your head and your heart. Everything, kol atzmosei temarna, meirosha ve'ad raglo, as he says, meirosha ve'ad raglo, if you're involved in Torah. And being that you're involved in Torah, it creates a actual spiritual effect on the person. It's like going into a mikveh. It's matayr. The kasha here is it's potentially a big kasha because the Nefesh Hachaim is divided into 4 shiurim, and Shar Daled, which is what I call the yeshiva shar. That's the shar that they learn in yeshivas. For some reason, they saw fit to skip the first 3 sharim, mostly. And Shar Daled talks about Torah. The yeshivas are about Torah, so they learn about Torah and Torah l'shma. And there, he's ma'arich, not just he mentions, he's ma'arich on the fact that the definition of Torah l'shma is Torah l'shem Torah. That's what he said. In other words, the minute, like if you ask somebody, why do you learn Torah? What do you mean? Because I want to be a good Jew. Oh, you're out. Why do you learn Torah? Because I want to be holy. You're out. Why do you learn Torah? I learn Torah because I want to learn Torah. Because I'm learning Lishma. As Hashem said to learn Torah, I'm learning Lishma. So, and he's ma'arich on that. Obviously, politically, La Fuke, the Hasidim that are learning Torah for Tahara and for Kedusha, and not that all that is so bad, but in other words, but Torah Lishma is Torah Lishma. Here, and it's not, here he defines Torah Lishma, Shebe'es Iskei Torah Lishma, Lishmar L'kayim, and what's Torah Lishma? Lishmar L'kayim, what am I'm learning not for, as opposed to, let's say, for intellectual exercise, or for the joy I just like learning, it reminds me of my childhood in Lita or something, but no, I'm learning it Lishmar L'kayim, Lishma, so the Rabbi Chaim Volozhin's definition of Lishma here is Lishmar L'kayim, I'm learning it for practical purposes, and his definition in Shar Daled is that I'm learning it for no purposes. I'm learning it because I'm supposed to learn Torah. Like, I'm not doing it, just to make it very, very clear. Let's say a person puts up a mezuzah in their house because they want to have shmirah in their house. Sounds good? So the Rambam says this is shaloi lishma, she'oisa l'mitzvah gedolah zeh keskula. Of course the mezuzah will give you shmirah, but that's not why you make a mezuzah. Ein zeh ela mitzivo HaKadosh Baruch Hu, mitzivo Hashem Yisbarach, so the Rambam. The person put up a mezuzah because you put up a mezuzah. And Nefesh Hachaim is very adamant about this point, that just like you put up a mezuzah because you're putting up a mezuzah, you learn Torah because you're learning Torah. I'm not sure which one of the pshatim is more likable, but it really doesn't make any difference which is more likable. The question is, what's the pshat? And the Nefesh Hachaim seems to be Seiser himself. And there are tirutzim. I looked in the Mefarshim on Nefesh Hachaim. There are mataritz that he's not talking about all parts of Lishma. There's different levels of Lishma. I want to suggest something radical here. Take out the comma. Shebe'es iskai batera lishma, or keep the comment and put a couple more. Be'es iskai batera lishma, lishmar ulakayim. There are three reasons to learn Torah. There's lishma, which I will explain to you in Shar Daled. There's lishmar shmiras haTorah, which I will explain in a minute. Ulakayim, and there's learning Torah to do Torah. So there's three levels of learning Torah. It doesn't have to be that this lishmar elokayim, shatovin, it doesn't have to be that lishmar elokayim is coming to be mefarish lishma. There's three things. I can learn lishma l'shem Torah. I can learn Torah lishmar because I want to be a shomer Torah mitzvahs. I can learn Torah l'kayim. I can learn Torah because I'm going to my halacha shir and I want to know what to do. So the pashut pshat is that if I'm learning Torah for all these three reasons, then it's like a mikvah. And this is, by the way, meduyak. Because at the end of this paragraph, he tells us, and we said this, in all of this, he says a drush over here, that shiur chachamim amma alama brum shalosh, that just like a mikveh is an amma squared and 3 amma steep. So what the way to understand, which is the size that a person can be toivel in, the way to understand, that is arbaim sa, by the way, that is arbaim sa, amma alama brum gimel ammos, that is approximately 200 gallons or 800 liters of water. So he says a drasha here that these berum shalosh amos of a mikvah is keneged the gimel hein ha-gimel lamais, which means asiya yitzira bria, nara, nefesh, ruach, neshama. All the different trifectas that we've learned throughout the whole Shar Aleph, maisa, dibur, machshava. So we need to explain how it's keneged. But I just want to say that it makes much more sense to me in my mind if it's 3, can I get 3? So it's 3 to the power of 3, I think we would say mathematically. You have 3 things, Laimei Torah Lishma, Laimei Torah Lishmar, Laimei Torah L'Kayim, and somehow that has to be makbil to Machshava, Dibur, Maisa, Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. Everyone get my math? Now we have a 3, can I get 3? Otherwise, why is he coming up with 3? The answer is there's 3 things. So let's just dwell on this for a second.
Just one task as well. On Sunday, the Rabbi was saying, if I understood correctly, that the mikveh, the mayan, and the mechatas are also like the nefesh.
Also with the nefesh, ruach, neshama.
It's like the same thing. Each of these, if you learn Torah in each of these 3 ways, it's corresponding to each of those.
Exactly what I'm saying. Minakala lakosha. Meaning the mikveh is a total immersion. Let's call that Torah Lishma, and let's work through the mayan, which is just nageya begufa. It doesn't have to be amal and then there's the bechatas, which you sprinkle on the oily regolim, and you give them some Torah. So it's like there's 3 different. So we would say Torah light is the person who comes to my 2-minute halacha shir in the morning after davening, Torah light, lakayim. Okay, very nice. On the car to Tel Aviv, I've learned what to do. That's nice, but that's not learning Baba Kama with Tosus and the Marsha. That's not learning Nefesh Hachaim. That's not learning Be'iyun. So that's not Torah Lishma, frankly. It's not Torah Lishma. It's an important thing. Kol aloyim et halachas v'chol yom. Right, muftach lo yeshu ben olam haba, no small change. Muftach lo yeshu ben olam haba. But what we're talking about here is 3 things. That would be like the mechatas, which we're going to learn. And then there's the l'kayim. What is that? I'm sorry, lishmar. Lishmar is the mysterious word here, because if you want to know what Torah lishma is, ayin shar daled. As soon as we explain it, we're off, because it's an experience of learning Torah. Period. If you want to know what L'Kayim is, we all know what L'Kayim is. You're learning Torah to know what to do. Lishmar is the mystery word here. What does it mean, Shomer? And for that matter, what does it mean to be Shomer Shabbos as opposed to Isa Shabbos, Makayim Shabbos? What does it mean to be a Shomer Torah or mitzvahs? What does it mean to be a Shomer? Let's dwell on Shabbos for a second, where the word Shomer is so, it's such a strange, I mean, we're so used to it. He's a Shomer Shabbos, a Shomer Shabbos. Mechalala, yeah. It's Sheval Tasa.
Active and passive.
Okay, Yecholiyot. So therefore, Shamor V'zachor b'dibur echad. So let me strange term. Shamru b'nei Yisrael Shabbos. Shamru b'nei Yisrael Shabbos. Do you know that the Chassam Sofer was against taking a nap on Shabbos. It was Balabatim. They were working all week very hard, and then they come Shabbos and they sleep the whole Shabbos away. So he said that you're supposed to stay awake and learn. And it's like, if you want to be Mekayim the Arizal, it takes 5 minutes after the Shalom to fall asleep. But you have to sleep 2-3 hours. It's too much. I agree with this Chassam Sofer, but I mean, not that I want to agree, but it's just so interesting to see people come in by Mincha and Shabbos, and they're so like refreshed, and their cheeks are puffed up, and their eyes are swollen. they just had, like really like, wow, that was a good aldu. But so he says the Chassam Sofer, his lashon is that it's called a Shomer Shabbos, and a Shomer doesn't sleep on the job. That's what he said. So so it's cute, but I think it's omek. I think it's amok meod. Like, what does it mean to be a Shamor Shabbos? So let's just look here for a second. If you Shamor V'zachor b'dibur echad, let's just analyze. So the luchos, as everybody knows, just want to see inside, are taught to us in Parshas Yisroi, and again in Parshas Ve'eschanon. And in Parshas Yisroi, the Torah says, Zachor es yom HaShabbos l'kadshei. Zachor es yom HaShabbos l'kadshei. Sheishes yom tavod v'sisa kol melachtecha v'yom hashvi'i Shabbos l'Hashem Elokecha le'sasa kol melacha ato v'incho v'techa abdecha v'amoscha v'amtecha v'gercha asher b'sharecha. And then the Torah says, I'm sure you've noticed in the Ten Commandments, that it gives a reason why you should keep Shabbos. You don't need Rav Hirsch reason to keep Shabbos. Why? Ki sheishes yomim asa Hashem es hashamayim v'es ha'oretz es hayom v'es kol asher b'am. Hashem created the whole world. Vayonach b'yom hashvi'i, he stopped on the seventh day. Al kain berach Hashem es yom hashabbos v'yikacheu. And it was therefore that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made Shabbos and made it Kodesh, and therefore I'm putting in the Aseres HaDibros that you should keep Shabbos. Parshas Yisroi. If you look in Parshas Ve'eschanon, so in Ve'eschanon it says, the Luchos again, as Moshe Rabbeinu retells the stories. By the way, it's not Luchos Rishonos, it's Luchos Shnios. It's two descriptions of the same Luchos. But interestingly, here it says, Shamar es yom hashabbos l'kadshei. So this is the Shamor V'zachor b'dibur echad that we talk about. Here it says Zachor es yom hashabbos l'kadshei, and here it says Shamar es yom hashabbos l'kadshei. So is it Zachor? Is it Shamar? And what does Shamar mean? And what's the difference? What's interesting here, and here's the clue, that here it also gives a reason for the keeping Shabbos. Before the reason was Ki sheishes yomim asa Hashem es hashamayim v'es ha'aretz, and here it says you should keep Shabbos. V'zacharta, part of the Shabbos commandment. V'zacharta ki eved ha'yisa ba'eretz Mitzrayim. V'yoitziacha Hashem Elokecha misham b'yad chazaka b'Yisrael netuya. Al kain, not al kain berach Hashem es yom haShabbos v'yikacheu, but al kain sivcha Hashem Elokecha lasos es yom haShabbos. So which is it? Forget about the Shamor V'zachor b'dibur echad. We have two different reasons for keeping Shabbos. One reason for keeping Shabbos in Parshas Yisroi is because Hashem created the world and He stopped. Another reason for keeping Shabbos is in the Ten Commandments. These are not just theories. This is the Aseres HaDibros. V'zacharta ki eved ha'yisa b'eretz Mitzrayim. So you have two completely different things. Apparently, the first reason, which is Brias HaOlam, has to do with Zachor. And the second reason, which is Yetzias Mitzrayim, has to do somehow with Shamar. Make sense so far? Everybody with me?
How?
What?
How is Shamar Mitzrayim?
Well, obviously that's what I'm talking about.
Could we stay for a second on that last tangent? In the Aron, so we have luchos, the shivrei luchos, and each of the luchos. So they said the same words or different words?
Shamor V'zachor b'dibur echad. Somehow it was a miracle. It said both. There was a luchos. Yeah.
Well, it's not just one word. It's a whole. The paragraph has a view.
It's a different paragraph. So it means to say that the good gezak, probably what that Gemara means to say of Shamor Luchos, Shivrei Luchos, they had both. They had Shamar and Zachor, but not just Shamar and Zachor, different word. Shamar and Zachor, different reason for keeping Shabbos.
One set had one and one had the other.
Lachar. This is not as I said before, this is not the Luchos Rishonos and Luchos Shnios. This is a description of the same thing. It's described differently. By the way, the Rambam says in Moreh Nevuchim that Ein L'dayik b'dvarim keila. That's what he writes. That shouldn't be B'dayik. I don't like, the Rambam, let's see. But the other Rishonim are either Ramban, for instance, and the Even Ezra's Ma'ir, all kinds of chilukim between the Luchos Rishonis and the Luchos Shneers. Why ain't L'dayik? So the Rambam was somehow worried that we should make this to you. He would walk out from this year. I'm not worried about it because he wouldn't come to begin with.
But there weren't really two.
So let's just explain. But what the chiddush which I'm trying to share with you here is that it's not just Shamor V'zachor, but it's Zachor, which is all about Brias Ha'olam, and it's Shamor, which is all about Yetzias Mitzrayim. Next kasha is, what does Yetzias Mitzrayim have to do with Shabbos altogether? You should keep Shabbos. Why? Because I took you out of Mitzrayim. Okay. Somehow, why didn't it say over there? Because I created the world. I had two choices there also. Choice made. Kadosh Baruch Hu made a choice. Shabbos is all about Brias Ha'olam, and it's interesting that in Kiddush we say both. Zecher l'maisa b'reisha, zecher l'yetzias Mitzrayim. They're both in there. So it's kind of like, what is my kavanah? But interesting, like this. Just in Pashup Pshat, the Chazal say that Zachor is the positive, like Kiddush, Zachreu al Yayin, Mimakadosh Shabbos b'Dvarim, Zachreu al Yayin. That's how we know the derisive Kiddush is Zachor Shem Shabbos, Zachor. They actually say it, even though Zachor really means to remember it, but okay. And Shamor is the mitzvah slice, say the Melechus Shabbos. So similarly, Chazal say in a different place that this is essay, this is lois essay, and it's b'dibur echad, the essay and the lois essay. So let's learn like this. That let's learn Pashup Pshat and Chumash here, and then I think we can understand possibly what the Nefesh Hachaim is saying. The Gemara says a very harsh halacha. Dinah the Gemara. Akum sheshavas chayim misa. Goy keep Shabbos chayim misa. We don't kill him keeping Shabbos. No Beis Din or Sanhedrin will kill somebody for keeping Shabbos. Misa b'dei Shemayim. But it's very harsh. Very harsh to Akum sheshavas chayim misa. Like what's the? So the pshat is like this. There's two basic tenets of Yiddishkeit, maybe possibly the two most basic tenets of Yiddishkeit. Number one, Hashem created the world. Reishis bar Elokim es hashamayim v'haaretz. Number two, right? The importance of that doesn't need to be elaborated on. Number two is that Hashem continuously creates the world. So Nefesh Hachaim is ma'arich on the fact that he's continuously creating the world, and in a language that we're more familiar with, Hashgacha Pratis. Hashgacha Pratis means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu not only created the world in sort of in an Aristotelian way, walked away from the world, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world and is involved in the world every second. He's involved in our lives. He's involved in our health. He's involved in our parnasa. He's involved in our shalom bayis. He's involved in the medinos and who's having war and who's not having war. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's involved in everything. The Av, if you will, where the whole thing starts is Brias Ha'olam. That's the tenet of Hashem created the world. What's the Av? What's the Makor that HaKadosh Baruch Hu always takes care of the world? Yetzias Mitzrayim. Yetzias Mitzrayim. The world does not just go by some kind of a natural derech. No, there's a chosen people. There's Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Completely, there's a Kriyas Yam Suf. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took the chosen people through the Yam Suf. There was Makos, there was Kishuf, there's all kinds of things that were going on in Mitzrayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took us out. The third tenet, of course, is Matan Torah. But let's talk about these two. They're really, when you think about it, it's a ikr aleph ikr beis, meaning chelik aleph chelik beis of the same ikr. The chelik aleph of the ikr is Hashem created the world. Chelik beis of the same ikr of the creation of the world is Yetzias Mitzrayim. Do you get it? Like, yeah, that's what I said. I just said. And that's why in Kiddush, Zecher Yetzias Mitzrayim, Zecher L'Maisa Bereishis, Zecher Yetzias Mitzrayim. How is Shabbos Zecher Mitzrayim? Right? It's the Rishai Hu L'Mikroi Kodesh Zecher Yetzias Mitzrayim. All of the Mikroi Kodesh are Zecher Yetzias Mitzrayim. Why? Because the Mikroi Kodesh are celebrating the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is involved in the world. This is a tremendous machayev. It's not just a philosophical point. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu is constantly creating the world, that means we have to be constantly involved with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You can't walk away from something which is total involvement. As if HaKadosh Baruch Hu walked away, so Olam Kimin Hagei Hoylech, you do whatever you want, and Hashem's not interested. And this is a very convenient way to explain crisis and tragedies and holocausts in the world. But there's tremendous nisim that go on in the world and ongoing. So we understand that it's hashgacha pratis. This is, by the way, I believe, a very Jewish thing, meaning that we're chosen not for the Zachor, but for the Shamor. Hear me well. Everybody can and should believe that Hashem created the world. Let me say it in more radical terms. Every guy can make Kiddush. You're not chayiv misa for making Kiddush because you're not chayiv misa for Zachor. But then we were chosen. After the Brias Ha'olam, we were chosen. And we were chosen because we were chosen through Yetzias Mitzrayim. That's when we became a nation, to show the world nachazah about that he's so involved with the world. What we're chosen, what our mandate is, what our job is, to be shomer that which everyone is zocher. That's a Jewish thing. If you want to know what the significance of being Jewish is, it's that we are the shomer. Like I said from the Chassam Sofer, a shomer doesn't sleep on the job. We're the shomer habris, shomer hamasira, shomer hamitzvah, shomer Torah, shomer Shabbos. So to be a shomer Shabbos is not that I'm only not doing the loisas, I'm not doing the malachas. To be a shomer Shabbos is what you're doing is you're taking something which happened almost 6,000 years ago and you're guarding it and you're making it part of this world. That's a Jewish job. Part of the shmira is the miracle. The miracle of the hashgacha pratis that happened to the Jews. Akum sheshavas chayiv misa. What you're taking away from the whole yichudiyut of the hashgacha pratis of Klal Yisrael and the Bria. You're being mevalbel the boundaries. So therefore, it comes out very, very interesting that in the first set of luchos, Zachor Yom Shabbos L'Kadshay, remember Shabbos, talk about Shabbos, talk about what? This is Kilu, talk about Brias Ha'olam. That's a Zachor. A Shomer is Moshe Rabbeinu ben Nevuasai was Moisef in Parshas V'eschanon, is that don't only be Zocher, be Shomer. If you're Jewish, be Shomer. You know, I must, forgive me, but I must tell you a funny story that I was from yesterday, like a yesterday story. But there's to illustrate an interesting point. But there's a Lakewood Kollel in Los Angeles. My son learns in that Kollel half a day, in Lakewood Kollel in Los Angeles. The other half a day, he manages real estate. The Lakewood Kollel received a donation a number of years ago. Anybody here from Los Angeles? Okay, good. They received a donation a number of years ago, 20 years ago, on La Brea and First, maybe 6 blocks away, from the Kollel of a piece of property that could be developed. A piece of junky property, but the real estate, of course, the land's worth a lot. So they wanted to develop this, couldn't do anything, zoning, whatever, it doesn't make they couldn't do anything, so they rented out. And in Hollywood, in that area, in Los Angeles, so there's a big trade of junk stores. Why? Because all the movie sets need something from the 1930s, a clock, like a chair, so all of a sudden a piece of junk is worth like lots of money in Los Angeles. So you take all your old grandmother's junk and send it to Los Angeles is where it's stuff. So they rent it out to this guy. He's like a hippie, and he's got like all this junk. He's a junk collector. He goes around all like collecting junk, and he sells it for money and pays. If you think Israel's expensive, pays $16,000 a month for this piece of property to sell the junk. And he can't. He stopped being able to pay the rent. So it was my son is the manager of the property, so his job is to collect the rent. He stops being able to pay the rent, and he feels really bad. My son tells him that, look, this is not just nobody's making it rich here. This is for Kolel guys, Avrahim, to be able to eat. So he says, I just can't pay the rent, and this. So all of a sudden he describes that he starts paying the rent. So how does he pay the rent? That he was in church on Sunday, and he's praying on this, and another guy comes out of the blue and says, I heard that you're paying money to those rabbis. He says, I want part of that good deed. And he says, whatever you can't pay, I'll pay. Whatever you can't pay, I'll pay. And all of a sudden he's getting the rent for, so go tell you didn't hear anything yet. All of a sudden he's getting the rent. Oh, they're getting $16,000. Can you imagine, I want to tell you, just think in advance that you're learning in the Kolo of Lakewood and hearing this story. Okay, let's go. So he prayed on it, and since he prayed on it, after the prayer, this guy came over, I'll give you the $13,000, whatever the deficit was, and he explained the deficit suddenly became $16,000. This guy's paying the, then, that was about 4 weeks ago, or 4 months ago rather. So they're getting the rent, right? So now, the guy comes to tell the story, 2 days ago. The guy comes to tell the story. He says, I got to tell you this story. He says, Tzavi, I need to tell you this story. He says, I'm always thinking about the rabbis that need to eat, and I'm thinking about how the Lord helped me, and I'm paying the rent and all this. He says, but every day I keep a journal, and I write about the day, and as I was writing my journal yesterday, he said, I had an epiphany. And the epiphany was, it does not make any sense that I'm running a business which is supporting these righteous rabbis, and that I'm open on Saturday. I should not be open on the Sabbath. That was his epiphany. My son tells him, no. You should be open on Shabbos because the big mitzvah for you is to pay the rent, right? So like, it should dafka be open on Shabbos. The Lord told me, I'm not going to be open on the Sabbath. Now, he realizes that as he's not open on the Sabbath, the guy, the patron in the church is not going to support him because, like, you're not doing your hishtadlus, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So he's losing out. So he says to himself, I don't know what to do because here I have this epiphany on the one hand, and on the other hand, I'm not going to be able to get this supporter here to give me the money because he's going to back out. So he doesn't know what to do. So he goes and he meets the guy at the same house of worship, and he tells the guy the story. I had this epiphany. So the fellow starts to cry. He says, why? He says, because I was up with my wife. This is the rich guy. I was up with my wife all night last night praying together. We were praying together because we really feel that your store should not be open on the Sabbath, the Jewish Sabbath. So he says, so we were going to say we're sorry, but we can't continue to support you because you're open on Shabbos. Tu goyim. So he says, good news is we're going to be able to continue as a partnership to pay this rent and to do it. Okay, Ad Kana Sipur. The story gets into the Lakewood Koilel and starts to be a pilpul. Like, right, I mean,
keeping the Shabbos,
right.
Closing down the store is not keeping from being
So I'm on the phone with him and the Rosh Koilel. Rabbi Fast, we're on the phone. I say, look, he still drives on Shabbos. He still is watching TV on Shabbos. You know, he's still even of it. Baruch Hashem, like, you know, on Shabbos. Like, you know, what's the big what's the big problem? But I heard there was said Edel and Nakuda that this whole support is coming because of a nevuah from Oisei Ha'ish. That was what was the sensitivity of the whole thing. I'll call upon him. It's interesting. It's an interesting story. But there is an aspect of Shabbos. Here's the Nakuda. There is an aspect of Shabbos which is for the whole world, and there's an aspect of Shabbos which is for Klal Yisrael. So the Akum Sheshavas Chayev Misa is the pshat in the second recounting of the luchos of Shamor V'zachor Shabbos, because the pshat in those luchos is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu took you out of Mitzrayim al Kain, Hashem Elokecha tzivcha al hadavar hazeh. It's all about Yetzias Mitzrayim. You go, you never run out of Mitzrayim. What are you doing? Zachor es Yom HaShabbos l'kadshay is all about, because Ki Sheishes Yom Hashem es Hashemayim v'Sa'aretz es Hayom b'es Kol Hashem al Kain berach Hashem V'zachor Shabbos. Two different reasons for Shabbos. One is yes nogeya, a non-Jew, and in that sense he should keep Shabbos, in the sense of saying that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, for sure. That should be part of his Shabbos. Let him pick up a cup and make a toast every Friday night for the fact that God created the world. Just don't refrain from doing malachos, because the Shamor, which is the Lamed Tes Malachos, is uniquely Jewish, because we are the Shomrei Shabbos. We are the Shomer Torah, the Shomer mitzvahs. So what does it mean to be a Shomer? So now the Nefesh, right? So here we have a good shot in the first, in Parshas Yisro, in Parshas V'eschana. What does Shomer mean, Imkain? So listen to this. If when you talk about Torah Lishma has nothing to do, according to Rechaim Elazim, has nothing to do in Shar Daled with doing anything. I'm just learning Torah Lishma, Torah for Torah's sake, Torah Lishma. Okay, that's the other side of the extreme. I'm Bukayim the Torah. I'm keeping Torah. I'm keeping Shabbos, let's say. So I'm keeping Shabbos, so I'm refraining from the malachos. I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do or not do on Shabbos. That's what's going on. What does it mean to be Shomer Shabbos? It means to be Shomer Shabbos is the kavanah, the ruach of Shabbos, as to I'm not just doing it like a robot. This is not Torah Lishma. The kavanah, let's say. The kavanah of Shabbos is because there's hashgacha pratis in this world. So the Shomer Shabbos is the Yid who's being Shomer our Mesorah and our Asaras HaDibros, that your job, Rabbi Yid, is to be Shomer the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, and to be Shomer the fact by refraining from the creativity of the Lamed Tes Malachos. What's the Lamed Tes Malachos? And a malacha is that I'm being creative. No, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in charge of the world. In the final analysis, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in charge of the world. I'm not the one who's creating Eish, and I'm not the one who's creating Mayim. I'm not the one who's Noilad. Everything is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Refrain. Al Kain Berach Hashem Hashem Shabbos Vayikadsheyu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because of Yetzias Mitzrayim, to prove and to demonstrate Hashgacha Pratis, that's why we have Shabbos. So Shomer is that which energizes the Kayim. It's like, to use the secular term, put wind in my sails. Right? Like you put the sailboat inside this room, nothing's going to happen. You need wind. So the goof is the nefesh. The nefesh without the ruach is not going anywhere. There's no wind in the sails. So that's the ruach. So Nefesh Hachaim, back in Parak Tes and in Parak Yud Aleph, he was masbir nefesh, ruach, neshama. He was masbir that, to think of it as, we keep on repeating the mashal Nefesh Hachaim, think of it as a glass blower, where it starts off vayipach ba'apav nishmas chaim. It starts off on a very, very high level, ruchniistic level, and that neshama kilu goes through the pipe, and that's called the ruach, until it comes into the nefesh adam and animates and sanctifies the person. So the ruach is what? The ruach is that which gives the nefesh any kind of meaning. That's what the nefesh is. So when we talk about Torah, there's really are three parts to it. There's lishmar, there's lishma, which is, I'm just learning Torah. There's lishmar, which is, I'm taking that energy and I'm using it to energize my whole life. Ulakayim. So the commas are the whole shukal Torah here. So it's lishma, lishmar, ulakayim. Says the Nefesh Hachaim that this goes keneged 3 times 3. It goes keneged nefesh, ruach, and neshama. Pshita, we just explained it. Why is it nefesh, ruach, and neshama? Nefesh is l'kayim. Lishma is the nefesh, ruach, and neshama. Lishma is the neshama, and the lishmar is the ruach. By the way, if you look at the Marsha at the end of Yevamos, It just popped into my head. The Maharsha at the end of Yavamas is Meirich on the word Shomer, talking about a Shomeris Yavam. And he says sometimes Shomer means to wait, sometimes Shomer means to guard, sometimes Shomer means to keep carefully. And he talks, I think he has 7 definitions. What Aviv Shamar Esadavar. Remember. Sometimes it means Zachor. Sometimes it means Zachor, and sometimes it means Shamor. So there's an arichus on why he's Baruch Marsha. And also, I believe, if I recall correctly, the Piskei Tosfos in the same place at the end of Yavos, because there the Tosfos says a little bit of this also, but that's why the Marsha is Baruch on it. So like when we're talking about Shomer, it's not that it has a lot of different meanings. It all really means one thing. What it really means is that which is giving the kavanah and the energy and the ruach to the gashmius that we're in, a chosen thing, a Jewish thing. The pasuk before, I'm just saying the pasuk, the first of the Aseres Hadibros, that I'm giving my mitzvahs l'shoimrei mitzvah, to the shoimrim of the mitzvah. So what we are is a new way of doing it. And a shoimer is, of course, a guard. So we are the shoimrim on every single aspect of this. We are the shoimrim. So that is clearly nefesh, ruach, neshama. It's clearly, to take it a step further, as Nefesh Hachaim does, it's clearly an inyan of asiya, yitzira, bria, which works together. Because asiya is the world that we live in, the gashmis touch and feel, asiya. But Yitzira is the world where the Gashmius is still being formed. It's still getting its final shape. It's the world of Malachim. That's the world of Yitzira, which is energizing, as the Nefesh Hachaim says over and over again, that the Olam Shalamala Mimanam Naisenes HaKoyach Olam Hatachton Liskayim. Over and over again, the Nefesh Hachaim says this. So the Asiya is being energized by the world of Yitzira. And the Yitzira is being energized by the world of Bria. Yitzira is nothing more than Shmira. It's Shomer Shabbos, Shomer Shabbos, right? The Shmira is the Shmira is giving the Ruach, or the windpipe, if you will, like the Ruach, to the world of Asiya. So that's what the point of the world. What are even on the simplest level, which is the only level I understand it, like what do Malachim do? They're busy working things out here in the world of Asiya. Eliel is Baal Chabris, and Baal Chabris is giving out refuahs, and Baal Chabris is killing us. So they're busy like administrating the world. That's the point of Malachim. That's the point of the world of Yitzhak. We all know that as Klal Yisrael we can go up and around the Ein Mazel Yisrael. But that's the pshat. Hakadosh Baruch Hu's Bar Malachim. That's the pshat. So Yitzhak becomes the ruach of, and then the grand finale of the trifecta is Machshava Dibur U'Maisa. So the Machshava Dibur U'Maisa, which is the last of the 3 things that the Nefesh Hachaim brings, is clearly Keneged Torah Lishma, Lishmar U'Lakayim. So Machshava is clear, right? Lishma, Machshava. Lakayim is clear on the other side, which is the Maisa. Lakayim Maisa. Partially here, Makayim Maisa. Machshava Dibur U'Maisa. Like in English we say that he walks the walk, but he talks the talk, but he doesn't walk the walk. So the Dibur is a beautiful paragraph in the Rav Shulchan Aruch of why you have to speak out Torah when you're learning. Because if you don't speak out Torah, there's no Gemar Maisa to your Machshava. That's why, according to Nusach Ashkenaz, we make a bracha lasoik b'divrei Torah, it's all machshava, and according to the Rav Shulchan Aruch is al divrei Torah, divrei Torah. So the pshat in divrei Torah is that the final part of machshava, just before it gets to Maisa, is dibur. Hence, the Gemara has a machlokes: is dibur Kasiya, is Dibur not Kedibur, Dibur is Kamaisa, it's not Kedibur. Machshava Kedibur, Dibur Kamaisa, Hear her Kedibur Dami. Like, how do all these things juxtapose? Hear her, Dibur, Maisa. There's a Machlokes Rishonim Mefurish whether Dibur has a din of a Maisa or doesn't have a din of a Maisa. Mefurish Machlokes, maybe we covered once the Ran and the Rush. So this is all the same thing. Again, the 3 things here are Lishma, Lishmar, Lakayim. Which is the makbil to that is Machshava Dibur Maisa. The makbil to that is Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, and the makbil to that is, what did I miss? Asiya, Yitzira, and Bria. And then it all comes together.
And of the mikvos, it's
And the three types of Tara. And all of these are makbil to the three types of Tara. We have a simcha here. Alicia's here with Shlomo. We're gonna B'schus HaTorah give